You're listening to a special presentation from Night of the Living podcast, Zoned Out, the Twilight Zone revisited with Freddy and Joe. Good day, Joe. How are you?
Good day to you, Freddy. Good day. I'm doing well. Feeling awake.
Yeah, good. We like to be awake.
For those who don't know, we do these in the morning, and so sometimes you start at a slow start, but no.
Yeah.
Feels good.
So we do the opposite of when these are released. Exactly. It's more than 12 hours earlier than when they come out.
That's right.
So we're going to be talking about the episode Dust today. This one aired January 6th, 1961. The most important January 6th in history was the day that Dust aired. This is the 8th of 9 episodes directed by Douglas Hayes, who is really like just a staple of the series at this point. He's as much a contributor as anybody. He had done When the Sky Was Open, Elegy, The Chaser, After Hours, Nervous Man in a $4 Room, The Howling Man, Eye of the Beholder. We have this episode, and we only get one more Douglas Hayes episode, and that's the end of his run in the original Twilight Zones as a director. And that's going to be The Invaders, which is another great episode. Yeah, he had
that one.
This is such a good list of episodes.
Totally.
This one's written by Serling, music by Jerry Goldsmith again, which he'll be doing the music next week again too. Probably from stock music he had already created for the series, and it was probably sitting around and applied to the film after. But all the same, cast of 19, including Serling. We have Luis Gallegos, who's the condemned man. He spends most of the episode in a little jail cell and in a turn of the 19th to 20th century jail cell in an old western town. This is John A. Alonzo. He was born in 1934. So again, this kind of tracks where we have like a 30 some odd year old actor, or close to it, playing I think what's supposed to be a much younger man. He's a native of Dallas, so he is from the South and close enough to the border and all this this vibe. It's authentic to him as a person. He was a cinematographer, and he did The Magnificent Seven. He was a cinematographer on Chinatown. And then later Star Trek Generations and, a bunch of, more contemporary movies as well. Then we have Peter Sykes, who is this callous con man who he sold the rope to the town that they're going to hang Louis with. So he's just kind of a self-centered character. He just cares about making money. This is the second of 2 appearances by Thomas Gomez. If you remember, he was Cadwallader. I always struggle with that name, Cadwallader. And
it's not an easy name, Cadwallader. Yeah,
it's easier just to call him the devil. He was the devil in Escape Clause.
Let's just lay down all the cards. He's the devil.
He has the line in this episode: "Today, young Mr. Gallegos, killer of children, dances on the gallows." That's how he feels about it. It's a spectacle and a show, and he's there to make some money.
His Sykesness is always reminds me of first heard it, and I thought Bill Sykes from the musical Oliver. Isn't that the guy's name?
I know the musical, but I can't remember his name.
Bill Sykes, I think.
Was he one of the street when he took all the urchins in, made them steal, or is that that's Finnegan or some shit like that?
That's the other guy. It was Bill Sykes. It was what's his name? From now I'm messing up. Oliver Reed from the movie.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. So he's the big mean bad guy.
Gotcha.
Who is very like violent and cruel and all that. But kind of get maybe that was this guy's dad or grandfather or something. I don't know.
So Sykes also says, and this one feels almost like something you would see on current social media. He says, you have a soft spot for foreigners and the downtrodden, but you mighty you're mighty tight-lipped when it comes to your own kind.
Yeah, it's this whole episode is very it's like very in place today. I mean, there's a lot of themes and stuff that I don't know. I'll note some when we get to it, but
Yeah,
it's right there.
it definitely.
Right there.
I felt it too. We have Sheriff Koch, he's just a sympathetic sheriff. He's very much like, he's so tired. You can tell this guy he is tired of having to be the law and having to be in this situation. He's exhausted. It's such a good performance. This is the second of 3 appearances from John Larch, who was the doctor in Perchance to Dream that the guy goes to for help because he can't sleep. He's going to come back again in It's a Good Life, where he's the dad in that family on It's a Good Life. That's the Billy Mooney episode.
He gives very John Wayne vibes in this episode, kind of.
Yeah.
I haven't seen many John Wayne movies, but he's got that dialogue that's kind of lingers in his mouth as he's coming out of his mouth. Something a little slow, but it's awesome. It's great.
So he has a line that says, "As for the boy in there, he had his trial in a day. He's going to swing for it." There's nothing in this sentence that says he's got to be tormented by a pig who sells trinkets at funerals.
Yes. Yeah. What a line. He's got some great, took a lot of quotes from him. He's got great lines.
He reminds me of Gene Hackman for some reason. Like maybe I'm thinking of Unforgiven or something.
Sure.
Then we have Old Man Gallegos, who's the father of Luis, who we at one point establishes this kind of superstitious character. He has a lucky coin he carries with him. This is the first of 3 appearances from Vladimir Sokolov, who's a Russian actor who
that's wild.
It's so convincing in this role. I never would have guessed he was Russian. He is going to come back in The Mirror as Father Tomas and also as a guitarist in the episode The Gift. He's playing these Latin American characters in pretty much every appearance on the series, and also outside of it, he was known to play these kind of characters. He studied at the University of Moscow, and he immigrated to the United States in 1937, and then he was so good at playing these sweet kind of characters that he was just always in demand because he was just that good. John Canfield, this character is the father of the victim. The victim is a little girl in this, and Joe will get into that as the synopsis. But this is the only appearance by Paul Genji, and he was a character actor. He was on Broadway, and then he got into film and TV in the 50s. He's basically known for playing police guys and tough guys, but he was the hitman Mike in the movie Bullet, the Steve McQueen movie, which I need to revisit, especially now that I've seen one battle after another, because they riff on a lot of the car chase sequence from Bullet in that movie. If you've never seen it, it's really good. Then we have his wife, Mrs. Canfield. This is Dorothy Adams, the only time we're going to see her in the series. But she was a very successful actress. She's in the 10 Commandments and a number of other things. Then we have Rogers, who, again, the only reason I bring this character up is because it's Dwayne Gray, and he had been in another episode of The Twilight Zone. He was in The Chaser. He was the bartender in The Chaser. So other than that, I mean, there's not much to say. The character who also is kind of just he's credited as man, so it's hard to even pin down exactly but it's another guy from John Lormer, who is going to come back in The Last Rites of Jeff Myrtlebank and Jezebel, but he was also in Execution, which he was the minister in that one, which was also kind of similar in theme to this.
They're so good at the westerns. I love the westerns in Twilight Zone.
Sterling did a whole series, I don't know if we've talked about it on here before, called The Loner with Lloyd Bridges. That was kind of like a Gunsmoke type of series, and you can watch it on YouTube. Watch the pilot. It was really good. Then we have Estrelita Gallegos. This is the little sister of Luis, and she was just on the show in Night of the Meek. She was one of the kids that was with Santa Claus. And now she's playing this little Mexican girl, and it's just neat to see the redressing of these actors in these different roles. And the last character I wanted to talk about was the farmer boy. And the reason I bring him up, he's the adorable, like 4 or 5 year old little boy. This is the director's son, Douglas Hayes Jr., who goes to the bars and asks her, "Is it going to hurt when you hang?" Asking all these innocent kind of kid questions.
Oh, yeah,
So
great.
so cute. But
Great moment.
he grows up to be a writer for Farscape and Hunter and The Fall Guy and a bunch of shows from like our childhoods as kids of the 80s. Mostly just a writer. Not a ton of material. His career was pretty brief in scope, but pretty good stuff. You know, Farscape was fantastic. If you've never watched that, good sci-fi series.
Nice.
So I guess we can get into the meat of that now, Joe. What do you think? Let's do it.
Let's go for it. So one of the things I really liked about this episode is, as it was previewed last week, they have this kind of hopeless vibe. It starts out, and it goes right into the voiceover, which is interesting because they kind of play with that with the different episodes. But he jumps right in with, "There was a village built of crumbling clay and rotting wood, and it squatted ugly under a broiling sun like a sick and mangy animal wanting to die. This village had a virus shared by its people. It was the germ of squalor, hopelessness, of a loss of faith. For the faithless, the hopeless, the misery-laden, there is time, ample time, to engage in one of the other pursuits of men. They begin to destroy themselves." I was like, wait, there is time to, they begin to just, what?
This is one of the stranger, the wording
Phrasing.
of this. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, all right. But anyway, yes, they do begin to destroy themselves. And so it starts out, we're in this Old West, desolate, kind of barren town. And we see, I want to call him Bill Sykes again. It's Pete Sykes. Pete Sykes walks in and he's yelling to everybody, "Hey, I got wares, I got this, I got that, I got tonics." And he's not quite like a tonic, like a salesman like that, but he's selling whatever little
the Sykes
stuff he's got.
The Sykes Bible, the Sykes collectible coin,
Sykes Steaks,
yeah, Sykes University.
Oh my God, yes, it's very much those vibes. And so he's walking around yelling out, and he's got that real grimy look. He's got the more than a 5 o'clock shadow, and he's super
less
hot,
than a beard.
Yeah, exactly. And so he gets in and walks up to the side of the jail, and here's Luis.
You know what? I think it's Luis. Isn't it weird that we just watched this and
right.
The pronunciation of, because they never call him really by his first name. It's mostly people either talking about him like he's an animal or just calling him by his last name.
You know, and what's funny about that is it's exactly that's. I think there's a deliberate point with that, and that is that Sykes always refers to him as Gallegos.
Yeah,
never calls him by his first name. The sheriff does talk about him either in like a generals or refers to him by his first name.
Yeah, he's more definitely more humanizing.
And that happens for some of the other characters. Luis's father refers to the sheriff as Mr. Sheriff, but Sykes refers to the sheriff as Koch, Mr. Koch, not Sheriff Koch, which is I think it's a distinction that Serling made a point of to draw the distinction between respect and disrespect.
Yeah.
And in those realms. Anyway, so he goes in and he's creepy and he's delighted to see Gallegos Luis in jail and mocks him for driving his wagon drunk and killing a child. We find out through his mocking and his tormenting. He goes into the jail and he's doing more of this, and he says, "You ought to see the fancy," as you alluded to earlier, "you ought to see the fancy 5-stranded hemp I sold the town for your party, Gallegos. It could lift 5 of you. And he has this real gross laugh. And all right, and then he has this line that I almost missed on the first viewing. On the second viewing, I caught it. He goes, kind of leans in and goes, any more at home like you, Gallegos? As if to say, could lift 5 of you. You could hang a whole bunch of your family. It was just creepy. It was one more turn of the blade, that turn of the screw of just creepiness.
Racism.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Clear,
Yeah.
disgusting racism. Any more like you at home, Gallegos? And so they go back and forth, and
which is interesting because the actor's name is Gomez, who plays Sykes. But that's a recurring theme throughout the Twilight Zone is someone who is a descendant of or part of a persecuted group playing the persecutor. It'll happen over and over again throughout the series.
Right, which it might even give them the edge of understanding, like, oh no, this is what people do. This is what I've heard people do to me, right?
I agree.
Not
Definitely.
me personally. So he turns to the sheriff and he says, well, what will be your fancy, Mr. Koch? The sheriff's got his head in his hands. And he's like, what will be my fancy, Sykes? I'll tell you what I fancy. I'd like you to take your fat carcass and your loud mouth out in the open air. This is a small room and it's a hot time of the morning. just lays it out real slow and like, brah. And Sykes, again, in the jail is just like, brah, kind of snorts at him. And then he starts laying into Luis and kind of gives his perspective of what he did. He's like, oh, you got rip-roaring drunk and you tore through the town and you killed that little girl. And he's taunting him again, and Luis kind of jumps at him because he's like, that's kind of this idea of like, wants to grab at him, and he's like, no, you're going to swing. And so he turns around then and goes back to the sheriff and offers him some tonic, quote unquote tonic. And he says, you ought to take a drink of this, Sheriff. It's a good tonic. He takes a big swig of it and says, just the thing to set you up fine for a hanging. Makes you strong and firm. Here, feel this. And he flexes in front of the sheriff. And it's like, dude, what is your deal?
It has electrolytes.
It's that very much that the machismo for the sake of machismo. And let's get this. I can sell you machismo here. You feel my muscle, Sheriff. And so he goes. The sheriff looks up. Love this line. I don't touch dog meat, Sykes.
Dog
he's
meat.
Like, yeah, dog meat. And Sykes comes back. You talk big behind that badge, Koch. So he called him Sheriff. But then he comes back and calls him just Koch, not Sheriff Koch, any of that.
He's trying to sell him something. He's sheriff.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say the word in the next line because it's a very derogatory and not used anymore. But he says, just sounds big to you because you're I'll insert little person, Sykes. And he comes back and he goes, I always had a little question about you. This is Sykes talking to the sheriff. You always had a thing for foreigners and strays, but you're mighty tight-lipped when it comes to one of your own. Sykes comes and the sheriff comes back with, you're not one. Wait, how does he say it? You're not of. One more time. You're not my own, Sykes, so don't claim any kinship. As for that boy in there, he had his trial, and today he's going to swing for it. But there's nothing in his sentence that says he's got to be tormented by a pig who sells trinkets at funerals. Go on, Sykes. Get out of here.
That was such a definitive. Those lines are so good for defining who these characters are.
It does, and it nails it. He totally nails it. And the Sykes is all, and goes to the door, and he turns around and he goes, when this day is over, which one will you weep for, Koch? And the sheriff looks up and says, I have tears enough for both. Which is like, like, there's no happy part of this, There's no delight I take in this. He also gives, I was thinking the other person, I was trying to remember, like, okay, John Wayne, but who's the more modern actor? And it was Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
who does that kind of a vibe in the as Snake Plissken and all that. So anyway, or any
Oh,
of his Western roles.
our world weary heroes
Yeah,
who've
yeah,
seen it all.
yeah. We're done with this. Done with this town. Anyway, so then the next we see a wagon rolling through the town carrying a child-sized casket, followed by a preacher and the parents of the young girl. And Sykes comes outside and kind of makes a show of taking his hat off and covering his heart, and then steps up to the parents as they're walking by. And it's like, it's a funeral procession, dude. What are you doing? He comes up and he's like, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Canfield. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, really sorry about this. My condolences to you. This afternoon's going to be a lot more cheery. Yes, sir. We're going to string up the dirty little animal that done this. She gonna be avenged. You can set your mind to rest on that score. We'll string up that mangler of little children if it's the last thing we do. And the sheriff catches up with him and grabs him by the arm, pulls him out of the procession because they're not even making eye contact. They're just walking. And he goes, some other time, huh, Sykes? Some other time you act like a man with no brains, but not now. Now you keep quiet. So Sykes does keep quiet and realizes he's, making an ass of himself.
When you see
And
Mrs. Canfield, that actor, she was like in her 60s.
that's wild.
Yeah.
She looks good for 60, but
Yeah.
also she looks 60.
Well, yeah, like she looks like an old West 40.
Yeah, yeah. Like all the people in here, they look like, some world weary, and they're doing it right because that's the whole vibe of this town is
Yeah.
everybody aged prematurely because it's a dead town.
So very much like Mrs. Kentner in Jaws.
Yeah.
Like she's where you're like, she's the mother of a little child, and you're like, oh, it's about acting chops. It's not about making a person look age appropriate, and that's
Right.
again a recurring theme throughout the Twilight Zone. You're
Well, well, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say there's no substitute for like experience with some of these actors.
Totally. Totally. One, there's a couple of people I can think of I've met in my life who are like, okay, I know you're like in your 30s or 40s, but you look maybe in your 50s or 60s. Like you've had it rough.
I got friends in their 60s that look as young as I do, and I'm 47. Yeah, so
that's awesome. keep hoping for that. They she also kind of gives me this vibes. I don't know if anybody, this is like totally random digression, but anybody ever watched Night Court? Do you remember the old lady who used to tell really dry jokes and she didn't really smile? She just had this kind of.
She had a voice kind of like kind of like
not that one.
No, the different one. Okay.
The lady who ran the shop.
Oh yeah, where they
just had
sold
this kind of, like,
cigarettes and gum and all that shit.
Yeah, she had like a Droopy the dog face. That kind of reminds me of this actress.
Oh yeah.
In a couple glimpses, anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. The OG
Super
Night
random.
Court when it was good.
Right. Oh man, that show. They used to like love that show. I look back now and I go, wow, this is something.
It's not as good as it's one of those shows that doesn't age as well as a lot of other ones.
No, for a lot of reasons, but
yeah.
It's like all of the 80s being a weird sex romp along with whatever it was.
I was so excited when I heard that was coming back, and the reboot is really terrible.
Oh no.
It's still on, I think. I think they're still making it. But it was
really?
like, yeah, and it was like they didn't update, like, you got to update the show somewhat, but it was like trying to do the same exact show. And yeah. Anyways, off topic, guys.
No, it's all good. So Louise's father is at the end of the village, essentially, and is it Esralita?
Yeah, Estrelita.
Yeah,
the little sister.
She's like speaking for her father, Louise's father. Oh, the old man. He's basically like he would give his life in place for her or something like that. And Louise is just kind of there, or Louise's father, again, not named, is just trying to plead with them, explain that he's so sorry, but he's basically they're talking to him through her, and he's talking to them through her. And they look over at him, and the Mr. Canfield says, "Get out of the way, little girl. Can't you see we're burying our daughter today?" Or something like that. And I was just like, oh man, it's good. Like
Yeah.
it's those moments that are rough. They play really well. And it doesn't look like it's a put on. It looks like these are people who are really mourning. So the father comes back, and he's trying to plead kind of to the town people, I guess, in front of the jail about his son, and somebody throws a rock at him, and the sheriff's like, "Hey, knock it off," and he goes over to his son, and he's got a coin. He's like, "Hey, I have this lucky coin, here, take it." And he's like, Louise is like, go home. You shouldn't be here. It's not safe for you." And the sheriff comes up and says, "Go home, old man. Make your prayers and make your wishes. Louise is right. You'll do no good here." And then the father, this is like you said, really nails this part. He's talking in this kind of like a stuttered English, and he's clearly full of emotion. And he says, "You never been drunk, Mr. Sheriff? You never felt such misery rising in you that salvation seemed to look at you from only out of a bottle? You never felt pain? Such pain that you had to ride through the night and not look behind you? My son was hungry, and he felt such pain, and he drank too much. He rode down the street not looking, not seeing, and he had a sadness deep inside, sadness that there was not enough to eat, sadness that he had no work, sadness the earth all around him was growing barren in the sun. He did not see the little girl. He never saw her for an instant." And he's choking up through the whole thing, and it's delivered very beautifully and tragically by this guy. Just kind of says his piece and then walks away.
He should have also been like, no one can take the keys away from a horse.
At first I was like, what are you saying? And then I was like, oh, because yeah.
Friends don't let friends. Drunk.
Oh God, that's terrible and perfect. Oh my God, that was awesome.
Peeling around the corner at 15.
If we ever make T-shirts, that's going on a T-shirt. Friends don't let friends. Drunk.
I was just thinking, I'm like, yeah, I mean, like playing it through in my mind, you kind of contemporize it a little bit and then you're like, yeah, you've got no one to help you.
I mean, it's true. You can't start a horse.
The breathalyzer machine. Blowing the horse's tail.
Oh my God. Okay.
Sorry about that, Joe.
No, that's where it was.
I just was wondering.
So funny and terrible. And great. Okay. So oh yeah. So this is the part where this is like it only happens on TV. The father walks away, and the little girl gets pulled aside by Sykes, no less, and tells her to tell her papa, which I can't tell if that's her grandfather. I'm assuming it's her grandfather. That it's Louise.
It's supposed to be her dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't remember how I know. There's some piece in the dialogue that says like her father, something about her being her father or her brother.
Yeah, this is where he says, "You tell your papa," and I was like, "Is Papa like grandfather in this one?" But apparently not. Okay, well, ooh.
Again, right. Old West 45.
Right. Yes. And like the little girl, when she's delivering the dialogue to the couple, she's got real stern face, and like it's convincing. All the actors in this were just awesome.
Yeah, she was so good. I was like, she had to become like some sort of actor as an adult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, she was one of those that she probably was disillusioned by it or something. There's a lot of child actors become pretty quickly, but yeah, except for these appearances in the Twilight Zone, it wasn't even like a thing. But so good, so professional.
Yeah, yeah. She really did a great job. And so Sykes basically says, tell your grandfather that the magic coin is no good, but I have this magic dust that will turn hate into love, and that if he brings me 100 pesos in an hour, I will sell him the magic dust. You comprende? You understand? And she kind of nods, and she leaves, and he scoops up some dust from the ground and puts it into a pouch, and he's like, magic dust. So anyway, commercial, and we come back, and Louise and the sheriff are kind of standing by the window outside, and Louise says, it should be a good attendance today. It's like, wow, he's just very pragmatic about it.
Yeah.
And the sheriff has this great line. When was it that God made people? Was it on the 6th day? He should have stopped on the 5th.
They should retell this whole episode with the cast of Winnie the Pooh, and he would be Eeyore, most certainly.
Oh, bother.
So true.
And then Louise has this great line, which again, it's you could put this in today. He goes, they're tired of hating this place, the sun, the ground that is dead under your feet. They must go out and find something else to hate. And I was like, oh, damn. Yeah.
That's a telling line about today.
Right? Yeah. Again, it's just this wisdom that this guy's tossing out there. It's amazing.
I mean, it's something philosophically everyone, I think, should understand is that human beings, the harder their lives are, they can get close to hating other people just to blame somebody.
Right. They want a scapegoat. That's why all the tragedy happens. And if you can not see other people as evil and all that, but see maybe like the things I don't know, see them as people, super flawed people.
Or just understand, know to recognize when people are just being irrationally hateful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes
that's a better point.
You can't fix it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that as you age, you realize it's a constant, unfortunately. And that's what's so great about the Twilight Zone is because you can actually kind of take something that's a constant in real life and put the brakes on it or reverse it.
Yeah. As Missy Misdemeanor Elliott would say, drop down, flip it, and reverse it.
Is your purple nipple wet yet?
Okay. So then this other crazy moment happens where this family pulls up in a wagon, and it's 2 adults and like a whole mess of kids. And the sheriff's like, "It isn't a carnival, Rogers. It's a hanging." He goes, "Oh, you mean the kids? Well, they ain't never seen a hanging. I figured it was about time." The sheriff goes, "Why?" He's like, "Why not? They'll learn a lesson. We'll see what happens to drunks that kill kids." The sheriff goes, "Well, I guess that's pretty vital. How do you teach them? How do you teach them pain, Rogers? Shoot one of them in the arm?"
What's great is in that moment, little Douglas Hayes Jr. smiles at that like it's a joke when he's sitting next to his dad, there on the wagon.
Yeah,
it's real cute.
Yeah. And then the Rogers is like, "All right, you kids." Doesn't even, call him by name or anything. He's like, "You kids, get down and stay together." And that little Douglas Hayes Jr. walks to the window and he goes, "Is that the man they're gonna put the rope on?" Almost like a little Ralph Wiggum.
So fucking adorable.
He is super cute. And Louise is looking down at him. He's like, "See, little one, I am the man." And the boy's like, "Will it hurt?" And Louise says, "If God wills it." And it was just like, damn, come on. Like, somebody listen to this guy. He's anyway.
He should have been like, "Nah, kid. It's fine."
When you hear, but at the sound of the cracking neck, I will be dead. I won't hear it and feel it anymore. No. So no, it's just Luis's kind of humbleness and wisdom comes out in this, and I think you're seeing that side of the character. Obviously, made a horribly tragic error and mistake, and but they're showing like he's not a cruel, he's not malicious, unlike most of the other people. So a crowd gathers in the gallows. And as they're doing this, they put the rope around Luis's neck. Oh, sorry. They lead him out to the gallows. Um, the crowd gathers, and Luis kneels to pray in front of the preacher. And the crowd's getting restless, and they're like, "Come on, let's get it over with." Another guy's like, "Yeah, you should have done that in the jail. Hang him." And Rogers, the one with all the kids, is like, "What are we waiting for? Let's get to it." And Mr. and Mrs. Canfield, again, on the kind of the foreground of that shot, are kind of looking at each other like, everybody just shut up. Like, they're just kind of huddling together.
At no point do they express any want for any of this.
Yep, exactly. They're just there bearing witness. And so a third character, I think this is the one that you mentioned as credited as Man. He's like, "Come on, Sheriff, do your duty, get it over with." And he comes back in a moment here. We'll reference that. And so we clip back to Luis's father, who finds Sykes and gives him gold pieces instead of pesos after Bill Sykes, jeez, Pete Sykes kind of sells him up on the magic dust again. And he's like, "Gold pieces?" He was expecting pesos and not gold pieces. And Luis is like, "Yeah, he's like, "Where did you get these?" And he's like, "I got the money from all my friends. All my friends went into the city. One sold a wagon, another sold a horse, others borrowed." And it's like, that this is like this is all these people have.
Yeah.
And they're all selling it as a community. Again, showing the contrast of like a community who wants to see a man die versus another community who's all banding together to save one person that seems hopeless on magic dust.
Maybe he's from the town that will one day become what, Grover's Mills or whatever from It's a Wonderful Life.
I mean, it's beautiful. I think you see this a lot of times in certain communities too, where everybody bands together. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, we're all in this,
I love that.
If it was my kid, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it's, it almost exists in a different realm now. That community is kind of online, but it's still out there. It's just not necessarily your neighbors anymore. People don't know their neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes you see people band together like this on a Caring Bridge or a GoFundMe for somebody or something. It's just beautiful when you see it, and to be a part of that. So, if any of y'all are members of the Patreon for NOTLP, you get a vibe of that on Thursday nights getting together. It's just kind of a beautiful little community of people who are together and care about each other.
The older I get, the more I appreciate our community at the Discord and everything a lot. It's become almost like a family, which is just a nice aside. Thanks for bringing it up, Joe.
Yeah, not a sales pitch, just a note. So the father gets the dust and he runs off because he's like, I gotta, they're there, and he runs up and he's trying to frantically toss this dust on the townspeople, and he's like, "Wait, you must pay heed to the magic now. You must stop all of this and pay heed to the magic. Magic. You must pay heed to the magic." And he says that in various different ways. He's like, "For compassion, for love, magic, so that my son can live." And everybody starts laughing at him. All the townspeople start laughing at him. Mr. and Mrs. Canfield are not laughing. They're just kind of huddling together and in anguish, just feeling the pain of that. And the sheriff and those folks are not. So he's he frantically tossing this up there, and they're kind of trying to get him out of the way, the townspeople, and it kind of zooms in on him, and he's like, the magic, it's for love. You must pay heed to the magic for love. And all of a sudden you hear this of the trap door going, and he grabs his head, and you're just like, oh, he's like, oh God, it happened, and he pauses for a second and starts sobbing. And he's like, no, no. And he turns around and they show the rope. The brand new 5-stranded hemp rope has broken. And Luis is down below, unharmed, below the gallows.
Except for psychologically.
Right, exactly. Which we'll get to in a second. He's like, everybody's kind of just stunned, right? This rope broke. And actually, Sykes is there too. And he's like, that couldn't have happened. It's a brand new rope. You know, he really is like, I don't get it. And someone calls out to be like, try it again. It's like, oh God. And the sheriff's like, there are only 2 people here who have the right to ask an eye for an eye. What about it, Mrs. Canfield? And she says, they pause for a second. She turns to her husband and says, no more today, John. No more. And he says, he killed our child. And she says, and part of himself while doing it. And he suffered enough. Mr. Canfield says, Sheriff Koch, there must be another hand in all of this. For the rope to break like that? Another hand. Maybe the hand of Providence. The sheriff is like, very tentatively like, you want to stop it then, Mr. Canfield? And he nods, and the sheriff nods back. And the couple turn to go, and the man, as you referenced, comes up to Mr. Canfield and is like, John, we leave it like this? Mr. Canfield says, we leave it like this. One victim is enough. I think we should all go home now. And the townspeople disperse, and the sheriff comes down and unlocks Luis's, shackles, and he's like, he has a line of basically says, he's like, his father's like, he's free now? And he's like, as free as you can be, you know. And the father and the son like just immediately grasp each other, and they're just, holding each other's heads. And as he stands up and they're walking away, the son, Luis, starts alternately laughing and crying in like a hysteria of like, the tension of the moment of like overwhelmed with that. And it's again, very apt scene of like, how do you process that, And so they walk towards the camera, and then off screen when he's just like wailing of kind of joy and sadness and shock and crying. And it's very touching. And Sykes at the end of this walks up and he's checking out the rope, and he's like, it doesn't make any sense. He just kind of goes, why? He goes, I guess it was magic dust. And so then he starts walking forward, and a group of kids who look like they're not the kids, Roger's kids. They look like the kids of the Mexican folks there, and it's intended to be. And he's looking at them, and he takes the gold coins that he gotten, and he drops them on the ground in front of himself. He goes, well, go ahead and grab them. They're yours. I'm just like, was that a change of heart?
Yeah, it's kind of like you're not sure to trust it as a change of heart because he's so despicable.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, maybe he's just scared. That's where I read it.
Yeah, well, and it's one of those where it's like we've grown so accustomed to so cynical, right? That you're like, is he gonna kick the kids while they're down there or something? Like, what's wrong with him? And then they grab the stuff and they go, and he just kind of walks off, and then we hear Mr. Serling lead us out with, it was a very small, misery-laden village on the day of a hanging, and of little historical consequence. If there's any moral to it at all, let's say that in a quest for magic, in any search for sorcery, witchery, legerdemain, first check the human heart. For inside this deep place is a wizardry that costs far more than a few pieces of gold. Tonight's case in point in the Twilight Zone.
Fantabulous. Great episode.
It was fantastic. I love this episode. I didn't remember it, but man, yeah, as I mentioned last week, I really like this episode.
Yeah, there are several times throughout the series where there's like executions, and like, or so it was on people's minds. It's a topic that's so controversial. You can keep revisiting it over and over again.
Well, and that tragedy of the stacking a tragedy on a tragedy,
right?
And how sad all of it is, and just showing a moment where there's, maybe providence, of divine providence. It's just, I don't know. I really like it. I like how they even gave Sykes an opportunity to turn it around at the end. They didn't have to show him giving the gold back, but it was like,
you couldn't feel good though either as a viewer if he didn't return the money, like, because it would hang. Yeah. It would be stuck in my craw. I'd be like, that motherfucker. Yeah, you got to have it to be satisfied. I think totally at the end.
Well, and I think I got to imagine that was an intentional move by Serling to allow for forgiveness of everybody.
Maybe.
He's like, well, we forgave the killer. The parents did. The whole town has basically been told by Mr. Canfield, this is how we're leaving it. We're walking away. And then, it's not like, oh, we're going to hate Sykes. It's like, well, we don't like Sykes. But again, Sykes is a human being, and Sykes gave the gold back.
And they give the gold back.
All right.
But I think he was scared, and that's why he did it, personally.
Yeah.
I think once he saw that, he was terrified of doing anything else to have anything to do with it.
Right. Which, you know what? That's cool.
Yeah. Good.
You got scared by God, or you got scared by something? That's fine.
Well,
as long as you deal with it the right way, that's fine.
Well, we've done it, Joe. We've spent almost 50 minutes talking about a 22-minute episode of television again.
Sorry, everybody.
No, I mean, like, there's a lot to unpack in this one. It just shows, it shows you why these shows are so good, is because there's so much to kind of just look at, all the little pieces, and see what all the intention was. Yeah,
still holds up today.
Yeah,
it's a good story. It's well told. It's well done.
Absolutely. Next week we got Back There, which is funny to read the list where it's like Dust Back There. This is a good one. Another good one. Back-to-back bangers, in my opinion.
We might be disagreeing on this one.
Oh, really? Yeah. See,
yeah.
I love the little wraparound in this one. I don't know. It's just this idea of guys in smoky private rooms having weird esoteric conversations about stuff, like time travel.
Yeah, we'll get into it next week. I liked the scene. I don't like how they got there. Gotcha. I think that's my craw. So.
All right. Well, we'll return with that next week. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, Freddie. Until next week.